In this video, we're going to talk about video podcast topic ideas for your business and how you can come up with them on the fly coming up. What's going on, everybody? My name is Karim Mustafa. I'm co-founder and CEO of Tribe Tactics. And in this video series, we basically want to give you everything you need to be able to plan and grow your very own video series for your business. So today we're tackling the topic of topics. Before actually jumping in and picking topics for your video podcast series, we need to make sure that we keep 4 principles in mind. The first one is we have to pick an audience before we pick topics. Picking an audience, simply put, refers to picking a specific niche or niching down to a specific audience that you may already be familiar with. Naturally, it could be aligned with the buyer personas of your company and basically an audience that you just really understand and can definitely speak to in that regard. Once you have that audience, if you think about it, it just makes topics so much easier to come up with. Naturally, you want to come up with topics that will matter to them, because this way, not only will it engage them and it would be relatable for them, but naturally it may allow them to then share that content share these episodes on with other people in their network who have the same job title or just have the same persona overall. So in order to tackle this piece, and that kind of ties in with the second point, you can always start by tackling your FAQs. So talk to your sales team, talk to your customer support team, and any other client-facing team within your company. Try and come up with an expansive list of all the frequently asked questions that your business usually gets. It could even be pre-sales, so even before somebody becomes a customer, as well as post-sales, questions that people have around making the most out of your product or service. These are all great ideas to give you inspiration on what the topics for your podcast could be. Now, it could be very much so as simple as, creating different episodes, answering different FAQ questions. But even beyond that, you can think of it in a more sophisticated way by just taking the FAQs as a place to get inspiration for additional topics in general. One example of that would be to take one question that everybody usually asks around maybe the ROI of what they may expect to get once they actually start working with you. And you may decide to create a show in collaboration with all of the people that you've helped before and kind of do like a before and after thing. And from there, you'll be able to come up with a lot of topics very quickly, so on and so forth. So definitely look at your FAQs. That's the second point. The third point is, beyond this qualitative analysis of looking into your team and looking at your FAQs, you can also do a quantitative analysis by using tools such as Ahrefs, SEMrush, Answer the Public, and any other keyword research tools that allow you to actually get access to a lot of the search data that's happening on Google and other major search engines, but essentially Google, and just figuring out like what people are searching for, because based on that, you can actually match that demand by creating topics that answer or cater to the queries that people have to begin with. Especially when you couple those two things together, the qualitative analysis of looking at your FAQs that you guys would normally get day in and day out, and matching that with the quantitative analysis of using a tool like Ahrefs, Answer the Public, which is free, you really get the best of both worlds in that regard. Last but not least, one of my favorite rappers, Nas, he always says, there's nothing new under the sun. It's never what you do, but how it's done. I hope I'm not messing that up. But the point here is that everything has been said before. Every topic in general has already been discussed before. It's all about your specific take on it. It's how you do something. It's how you take a specific angle on it, which brings us to this final fourth point, which is, how can you come up with a unique genre or unique angle at the topic that you're talking about? Maybe the topic you've been talking about, or the topic that you came up with, is something that was discussed time and time again, but very much so on a beginner's level or an introductory level. Maybe you could be the one to actually do a more advanced take on this topic. Or similarly enough, maybe a lot of people take specific topics and they just jump straight into the deep end, and your audience are left confused. How do you actually take that topic and break it down into simple steps that could be easy for them to understand? That's in terms of taking an angle on it. And of course, there's a lot of different definitions for taking an angle on different things as well. For example, you could also react to certain topics. So you're talking to people who already understand the topic inside and out, but you're giving your own commentary about how your company looks at this specific topic. And maybe you guys have a very unique perspective or vantage point on that topic. Last but not least is, as I mentioned, genre. When you think about the genre, think about, how can you make something that's usually a very dry subject making it something that's fun and lighthearted, right? Making it more entertaining. And that in itself helps to create that binge worthiness factor that we're all after in our video series, right? Taking something that's dry and making it super fun, just using the genre and the way that you speak about it could definitely be a great way to differentiate yourself and the podcast topics that you come up with for your business video series. But beyond that as well, even taking something that is very nuanced or something that everybody pretty much like understands on a very light level and just going super detailed on it and becoming like your show could become the show that gets, you know, obsessively detailed about like specific topics. And again, a lot of people may value that, and maybe that's exactly what you need to do. But generally, once you start thinking of these headlines and these categories of like angles, of genres, of adding quantitative data with qualitative data, and of course understanding your audience, the very first point we talked about, you'll be well on your way to get started with creating great podcast topics that would resonate with your audience. Hopefully that was helpful, and please check out our other videos. Definitely subscribe if this is your first time here today, and I'll see you in the next one.